Good afternoon, everybody. We are starting our sessions, Sunday sessions for 2023 today. Um, and I have few announcements to make before we go to our speaker. This publication, which I've circulated the link about a couple of weeks ago, is so important. It summarizes various things that we can learn from. And I have uploaded into our website with the permission of the author, who has done extremely very good job about summarizing what has been happening in our country. So these are the chapters. It talks about mass pricing. It talks about what caused the economic crisis, and how the constitutional amendments paved the way for the national crisis. Systemic corruption contributed to the crisis. Assault on dissent and violation of human rights. Politicization of the central bank and about the bond scams. Authority without accountability contributed to the crisis, and what is required for sustainable recovery. So it's an eye opener, and it's downloadable from our website. And although it's a copyrighted document, we have permission to use it for this purpose. So then I have to announce about the workshops that we organized for 14th January. And this is our hybrid workshops. Online participation is limited, however, to 100. The registration will open tomorrow, and I'll show you where it will be. So workshop for adults, the theme is really about key features of good governance. සැබෑ යහපාලනයේ මූලික ලක්ෂණ තමයි ඒකේ අපි කරන්නේ. අපිට ඉතින් එක දවසකට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. ඒ වුණාට ඒ කතා කරන අය පුළුවන් තරම් මේක බ්ලේම් ෆ්‍රී කල්චර්, ඒ කියන්නේ කාටවත් ක්‍රිටිසයිස් කරන්න නෙවෙයි, අපි හැදෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන එක කතා කරන එක තමයි මේකෙන් කරන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ අපි we have a workshop for children දැන් මේක අපි එකපාරක් ඩිස්කස් කරා, මේක අපි කොහොමද මේක ඇඩ්‍රස් කරන්න කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ risks and hazards and safety for children. මේක ඉතින් education මගින්ම කරන්න ඕන දෙයක්. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා අපි මේක පොඩි විදියට හරි පටන් ගන්න තමයි බලාපොරොත්තුව. ඒකට ළමයි 100ක් විතර සහභාගී වෙයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා face to face. ඒක නිසා මේ first workshop එකේ ගොඩක් අය online සහභාගී වෙන්න පුළුවන්, and they can ask questions and everything else as well, because ඒකට feature online feature එක ගොඩක් strong. ඒ වුණාට මේ children's workshop එක skill training නිසා අපේ online participation එක observation එකට විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. But video එක බලන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද lots of resource people will be involved directly with children doing the workshop. ඉතින් ඒක නිසා අපි observation එකට capacity එකක් හදලා තියෙනවා එතන. මේ අපේ website එකට ගියාම you will see two pictures, one for the adults, one for children. And ඒක link කරලා click කරලා ඒක යටින් තියෙන click කරලා ඒකේ link එක, ඒකෙන් පුළුවන් register වෙන්න හෙට ඉඳලා. අද ඒක available නැහැ. හැබැයි ඒ අතරම මේ ළඟදී we have got something that we need to be concerned about. ඊට පස්සේ මේකේ තියෙනවා Russia proposes 2 mini nuclear power stations for Sri Lanka, talks ongoing කියලා report එකක් තියුණා. ඉතින් අපි මේක open forum එකක් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඊළඟ සන්ඩේට කරන්න. Pros and cons for Sri Lanka means what it means for us and beyond. So I think ඒක කතා කරන්න මේ කරන්නේ. හැබැයි මේක යනකොට මේ Reuters report එකක් තියුණා. මේකේ මේ කොළඹ report එක, we have received government clearance to set up nuclear power plant of 1000 megawatts කියලා ඉවරයි. I think මේකේ ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා අපි මේක discuss කරන්න ඕනේ. And so කවුරු හරි ඒකෙන් ලංකාවේ nuclear power plants නැහැ. ඒ වුණාට expatriates ලා ඉන්නවා මේකේ knowledge එක තියෙන. ඒ කට්ටියට පුළුවන් නම් සහභාගී වෙලා මේ ඊළඟ සන්ඩේ මීටින් එකේ contribute කරන්න කියන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ knowledge එක. ඒ කියන්නේ වැඩියෙන් මේකේ financial and human cost එක මොකද්ද? ඒකේ anticipated benefit එක මොකද්ද? ඒකේ inbuilt risks මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? එතකොට ඒකේ maintenance cost එක. ඉතින් අපිට මේ ඔක්කොම maintain කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක වැදගත් වෙන්නත් ඕනේ. ඒකින්ද පුළුවන් නම් මේකට සහභාගී වෙන්න. So එතනින් අපි ඉතුරු වෙලා දැන් අපි ඊට පස්සේ අපි දැන් අද මීටින් එකේ තියෙන්නේ part 2 එක. ඉකොනොමික් ලිටරසි අපි මේ ගැන එක්පාරක් කතා කරා අපිට මේ ඒකට ලොකු දැනුමක් ලබා දුන්නවා අපි දැන් මාසෙකමාරක විතර ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේකේ ඩිස්කෂන් එකට ඩොක්ටර් වෝල්ටර් ගුණතිලක පොඩ්ඩක් පොඩි ඉන්ට්‍රොඩක්ෂන් එකක් කරන්න ඩොක්ටර් වෝල්ටර් ගුණතිලක කියන්නේ මේ යුනිවර්සිටි ඔෆ් ග්‍රීනිච් corporate governance ගැන PhD එකක් තියෙන educator කෙනෙක් senior fellow in the higher education academy in UK also and has taught in various UK universities in England. And at the same time, he has also been there at University of Jawaharlal and also has got some experience in working in the bank. That's in Bank of Ceylon from 1986 to 1994. So I'm very grateful that he's decided that he will take us through this journey to educate a little bit more about economic literacy. And we got a few slides from part 1, mainly to benefit the people who are joining for the first time. And also, so us also, it will be good to remind ourselves as to what is talked about. So I'll invite Dr. Walter to talk about our historical things from the last one. Few slides just to summarize. Dr. Walter?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Chula. First of all, I wish all our colleagues a happy New Year 2023. I'm very happy to see that all. So last week, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about some fundamentals of an economy, especially the abilities of an economy to increase its momentum and facilitate the production and services, and in turn to make the life very comfortable for everybody. So we discuss some of the limitations, some of the requirements for that. So today also continuing the same thing, we will be going to discuss about some of the basic fundamentals again about our financial system or financial literacy of the economy. Also, we can proceed to that slides, Professor. So we discuss this all. So we discuss about all of these. So we need to go beyond the existing production line. So this one also we discuss. We discussed this one also. We are aware about that because many of us have traveled or living in developed countries in this right side, UK, USA, France, Germany, Europe. And on this side, there are economies controlled by the government. These are called usually as communist countries. And this side, the democratic countries. So I have explained that we have experience about all that kind of freedom in the developed countries or market economies. Or so shall we go to the other one, please? So we are coming for this part 2 discussion. We have got number of topics to discuss. Monetary and fiscal policy. It's a very important one. Role of the central bank in Sri Lanka, especially, is very important. And money market and the capital market in Sri Lanka is very important. We are participants in money market as well as we are participants in the capital market to some extent. So we need to know about the functions of money and how the interest rates are decided. This is also an important understanding we all must have. So we are going to discuss that also. Shall we go to the next slide, please? Real economy and financial economy. So I have written a small sentence. Real economy, the economic activities of a country. When I say about these economic activities, I remember the days I spent in 2 manufacturing companies. One is Palavatta Sugar Company and Hingurana Sugar Company. There are real economic activities. What does it mean? They produce They produce sugar utilizing sugarcane, and there are a lot of farmers cultivating sugarcane. They are brought to the factory, and the factory produces sugar. Finally, sugar is coming to the market. So when that is done in the factory, in any other factory, or in any other service industry, and we say these are real economic activities. So when they are coming to the market, we will have to say that is a different economic activity. So in order to produce anything, I read the sentence, to meet the needs and wants of the population, we have a combination of resources in any country which are called as factors of production, namely capital, labor, land, and entrepreneurs. This is a very important economic concept, factors of production. We need capital. Capital means the initial amount of money required to start a company, buy the raw material, buy machinery, and so on. Labor means not just the manual labor, but all the skilled people also, managerial people also. In economics, labor means all kind of people, irrespective of the grading or irrespective of the quality or the qualification. And land is usually the economical land which we can use, and the entrepreneur is the person, the kind of people who are starting the enterprises with a certain risk and with a certain expectation to get income. So all of these four categories, four factors are very important for any country. We are lacking capital as well as entrepreneurship in Sri Lanka. We have enough labor, qualified people, and abundant labor supply is always there. Unskilled, skilled people. Land also we have, adequate land is there. Only thing is we do not have capital and entrepreneurship. We do not have much entrepreneurs in the country who are about to take risk and determined to make a business. So we discussed last week the production possibility curve, and we discussed that we are within the production possibility curve. We have to expand the production possibility curve, the ability to produce more and more. So we have to use those production factors effectively and efficiently in order to increase the production possibility, production ability of producing more and more goods and export more and more and earn more and more foreign exchange. For that, entrepreneurs are needed. So when all of these are done, that's called economic activities. Then what is financial economy? So whenever the production is completed in the factory, that is going to the market. Then a lot of economic activities start. That is the exchange, change hands or deliveries. Then the wholesale people, then the retail traders, then the consumers. Likewise, distribution is starting once the production is finished. And so at the same time, when we are distributing from place to place, from factory to the market, then the banks involved, then the money involved, and so the total value of that is called as financial economy. So the banking system plays a huge role in this aspect. Business people want to get loan facilities, and the consumers want to get consumer loan facilities. And so the financial economy is active as a result of a real economic activity. So what we want to see is, we first want to see our real economy is going beyond the production possibility, and then financial economy. So these are actually the two sides of a coin, if I say. Yes, we'll go ahead, please. So we have to discuss about monetary and fiscal policy. Monetary policy is about the money supply and money demand. Demand and supply of money, that is how we say it. the quantity of money demanded by the economic activities. Now, all the economic enterprises need money. Now, people complain in Sri Lanka, business people, always we do not have adequate capital at a certain good interest rate. Interest rate is very high. It is difficult to borrow at 35% and then produce anything because the cost of production going up. So quantity of money demanded and quantity of money supplied. Money supply is also an accept of a very important part of an economy. So therefore, there are a number of reasons why people want to get money. Now we are saying there are several factors which impact demand and supply for money. They are consumption by both consumers and enterprises. All of them need money. We are people in a country, we need money. We are consumers and enterprises mean companies, manufacturing firms, service industry, and other services. For investment purposes, business people need money and they want to take that money at a reasonable interest rate. Then government expenditure. Government also is a contributory factor for the economy because government has so many projects, school projects, road construction, highway and dam construction and hospitals construction and so on. Government also needs money. And so government needs money. Exports and imports, that also is another factor which demand money. Above four are called monetary aggregates. So whenever we see the value of all of these individually, we say they are monetary aggregate. This is a concept. Sorry. Stock of money in any economy consists of the following items, but depending on the economic development of a country, there could be many other instruments too. Basically, they are so always at any given time, the available quantity of money is measured by central bank. There are various ways of measuring, especially in the digital economies like ours today, we can see. So what are they? What are the items? Notes and coins, bank checks, debentures, any other tradable instruments of debt. So these are some of the items we call as instruments of money. So we'll go for the other, please. So in the textbooks, so in the theory, we discuss all of these as M1, M2, M3. M1 is usually notes and coins. They are highly liquid, 100%. Now, anybody is to buy who are having some money, so they can go to the market, can buy anything. But if we give a check, bank check, they will not be able to accept at once. They will not be able to make it money because they have to deposit to the bank first. It will take 2-3 days time to get it cash. So therefore notes and coins are the only liquid assets. They are 100% liquid. That is why even in the developed countries like Europe, America, Japan, New Zealand, Australia, people prepare notes and coins always. And nowadays we have cards, debit card, credit card, and so on. But when we still go to small shop, they want us to pay by notes and coins, right? So that is the most important part of the money stock. M2 means another category, M1 plus short-term savings. For example, we have a savings account, but we have to get money from the savings account to go to the market with money. Treasury bills, if we buy treasury bills, these are tradable, these are discountable. We can discount the treasury bills at a commercial bank. So they are near money. We say they are near money. So that is the concept of near money. M3 means the fixed term deposit. That is also valuable source of income value because we get an interest rate. But we cannot get money because we have to see the maturity date of the fixed deposits. Until such time we cannot get any money, even advance. Therefore it is not near money, it is a distant money, but still it is a very valuable asset. So we say it is a M3. So in any country, banking system can count the number of M1, number of M2, M3, and so on. So money comprises these kind of classifications in almost all the countries in the world. Shall you go to the next, please? So who is in charge of the monetary policy is handled by the central bank. Central bank in Sri Lanka, uh, in America it is called Federal Reserve, in India is called Reserve Bank. So the the name is different from country to country, but the monetary policy is handled only by the central bank. So this is a very important aspect, and that is therefore the central bank has to be independent always, independent to do its job. We will be looking at the kind of activities of a central bank in the next slide. Then we will be able to see why central bank is very important, independence. So fiscal policy, first I explain this one. And any government, as you know, takes money from the people, that is by tax, various kind of tax, direct tax, indirect tax. Direct tax, example, income tax is a direct tax, and indirect tax is the kind of payments we do to the restaurants when we buy something. If you look at the bill, you will say how much tax is going. So that is very easy to understand, but we have to be practical also to see how much VAT we have paid when we are going to the restaurant. When we pay the bill, you will see we have paid this much of money. When we buy something from a boutique, say soap or powder or something, vegetables even, sometimes we will have a tax. So everything is tax. So why do we want to pay tax? Honestly, there are so many things to meet by the government for the people. Protection of the territory by security forces, very important. Air Force maintenance, Navy, military police, and so on. But in Sri Lanka, there is a problem. I heard last week over 500 billion of money is spent for security services. I personally believe it's too much. Maintain law and order in the country, police, judicial services, prison systems. Also, we have to pocket out, we have to pay for all of these things. And education, primary education, secondary, tertiary, and vocational studies in any countries. We need to maintain all of these services because we have to develop the skills of the people in order to produce something, in order to create entrepreneurship. We want to help people to understand various subjects, and also we have to get all these money by taxing people and enterprises. And another one, health. Decent health is required to maintain the healthy people. It is required to maintain health always. It is very important for the country. Now, over the last few years, we have seen world over, all the governments had to spend huge money for the prevention of COVID, as well as to do research on COVID, huge bills on COVID medicine as well, right? Then after, we have to see the government is creating adequate infrastructural facilities. That means road construction is very, very important. Water and sewerage facilities, research institutions. And why do we have to expect the government to do it? Because these are long-term investment. Road construction, I'm not talking about the examples in Sri Lanka. We have so many questions about the bills of road construction, billions, overspending. But road construction, water sewerage facilities are heavy expenditure, and it is difficult for individual business people or companies to spend, because the long-term investment return maybe 25 years, 30 years, 50 years. For example, nuclear investment. It will take maybe 20, 30 years time to recover that money. For an individual business person or a company, it is difficult to wait that kind of a long number of years. Therefore, government has to do all these heavy infrastructural facilities. So therefore, all of these items mentioned by us, protection of the security of the country, maintain law and order, education, health, infrastructural facilities, especially in the developing countries, the government has to maintain, government has to do. But in developed countries, like in Europe, nuclear power plants are managed by private sector enterprises, large companies. In America also same, health as well as railway industries managed, owned by private sector companies. Even in India now, Tata manufacturing company, they have nuclear facilities, they have schools, they have large universities and so on. So in some few countries, we have private sector enterprises also doing these long-term enterprises. But in Sri Lanka, I doubt whether our company sector can do it. But now we can see some of the private sector companies have launched so many sectors, especially hospitals and private tuition places, universities also. So last one is in this side. How does a government meet the expenses? That's all by tax income, basically. Direct taxes and indirect taxes. Direct taxes mean income tax based on a particular income. But there is a big crisis now in Sri Lanka. People are not happy. All the professors are not happy with the new tax proposals for income tax. And corporate profits also, very high corporate profit tax is very high in Sri Lanka, and government says we have to meet the expenditure of so many things, and so that is why indirect tax is also very high in Sri Lanka. Indirect taxes, people do not know whether they pay a tax or not, even because usually nobody checks their bills. Maybe now much more knowledgeable than few years ago, because of the rapid increases of the taxes for the people. Government enterprises also, they are earning some income, but there are very few government enterprises in developed countries as well as developing countries. So I think I explained this one. There any question for anybody, please? I'm trying to cover all these slides today. Shall we move to the other one, please? So how does the government get income? So we discussed that. So that government, any government has to present the budget for the parliament. Parliament is the place where the budget is discussed, budget is approved. The budget is a particular plan for the next year. The sources of income, sources of expenditure is discussed, and so it's a plan. Then the government has to get the consent of the parliament, and so that is approved. So that will become the law of the country as a result. So we have seen in Sri Lanka so many budget speeches, so many budgets, always a deficit budget. Always we see around the world is a deficit budget, except in some countries like in Middle East, they are oil-rich countries. For example, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi, and all of these Middle East countries, they are rich income sources. oil income, so they don't have problems of money. They have enough money to spend, and so they have excess income rather than the excess expenditure. Ours is always excess expenditure, less income sources. So we have to borrow money to get the deficits. So shall we move to the other place? Right. We discussed now about the role of central bank. There are a number of roles. The very first role is issue of notes and coins. And this is the most important one. And historically speaking, we have not seen central banks in 16th, 17th centuries. Many banks issued notes and coins. As a result, there was a lot of trouble. Then after, the governments those days in 17th centuries started to think about having one bank that was called as the central bank. So it was owned by the government. So it was given the power of issuing notes and coins. So when the government issues notes and coins, government means the central bank on behalf of the government, and it is called legal tender. Legal tender is the technical term when we say about notes and coins. So therefore, in Sri Lanka, we say rupees and notes and coins. 10 rupee coin, 20 rupee note, 100 note, 500 note, 1000 note, 5000 note, and so on. They all are legal tender, right? They are accepted by everybody. So there are certain qualities required of notes and coins. We all know there should be a kind of acknowledgement by the central bank, and so many things are there. Don't want to discuss much. Shall you go to that, please? The other one. So economic stability of the government of the country is a responsibility of the central bank. So in order to maintain economic stability, that means there should be growth in the economy. Over the last few years, we have not seen the growth. So central bank is also has a role to play to register an annual growth rate. So employment, maintenance of employment, general price level in the economy or inflation rate, it has to be a maintainable, adequate growth, adequate employment, price level. Price level it cannot be maintained at an equal price always. We need to have a little bit of upward price levels also, because when the price level is going little bit higher, entrepreneurs or manufacturers will like, so they are more motivated to produce. So we need mild inflation, right? Not galloping inflation. So in order to maintain economic stability in the country, we need to maintain monetary stability also. That is also a responsibility of the central bank. Now we started to talk about real economic activities, that is about economic stability. So financial stability or monetary stability is in the financial economy. So demand and supply of money, quantity of money demanded in the market by entrepreneurs as well as by the average people, notes and coins and other kind of money. So supply of money is a responsibility of the central bank. If the economy is moving, economy is growing year by year, and then economy needs more and more money. It is required to print new money and then issue those money to the market. In the last few years, what has happened in the economy in Sri Lanka is money has been printed without looking at the real economic activities. Therefore, what happened? people have a lot of money, notes and coins, circulation is everywhere. So people, when they have money, they go to the market. But the market is unable to serve them because there are no adequate goods and services. The real economic activity has not increased, but the money supply had increased exponentially to a very large extent without matching the needs of the economic activities. So shall we see the other bullet point? Advice of the government of the economic growth and development. This is the funny thing in Sri Lanka. Who advised the government in the last decade? Politically appointed um, people in the central bank. What did they advise? I don't know. So anyway, this is the one of the main important things. If I remember, Mr. Rasaputram, Vishwa Rasaputram, was one of the best governors of Sri Lanka Central Bank, and he was doing a wonderful job. And so likewise, we didn't see anybody becoming a good advisor rather than playing some politics. We will be having a discussion that also. So we'll see the next point of the central bank, please. Role. Maintaining the income and expenditure of the government means maintaining the accounts of the government. So always government bank is the central bank. Government, of course, has government institution now, say, Petroleum Corporation, Electricity Board. They have their own accounts with the private banks, with the state banks as well. But government here means the government, central government as well as provincial government sector, especially central government. All the ministry accounts are maintained by the government. Right. Next, please. Control of the banking system in the country. So that is a very important part of a central bank. Controlling the creation of money, as I said earlier, also issuing on notes and coins. Here means creation of money means banks are wonderful institutions. They can create money because now suppose I deposit 100,000 today. I'm not going to borrow, I'm not going to withdraw that money in 1 week time or 2 weeks time even. So therefore, commercial banks can give that money, about 90% of that money on loans for various purposes, consumer loans or industrial loans. And so those people who borrow the loans, they will invest and they also do not want to withdraw the whole money. So likewise, creation of money is possible because the experience of the banking system in many countries that 10% of money will be withdrawn by depositors and 90% of money will remain in the banking system. And therefore, the banks are in a position to create money. That is called creation of money. So give money as loans facilities. So this the experience for so many centuries, right? So central bank has a direction of the banking system. Direction of the banking system means they supervise the banking system. They supervise the individual banks. They have on-site examinations as well as another examination. They can come to the bank at any given time and look at the treasury. Treasury is the heart of a bank, and the treasury function could be monitored online nowadays, as well as they can come and check the bank ledgers and all and see whether the commercial bank is giving loan facilities to the desired economic activities of the country. Desired economic activities means government will sometimes say you need to increase loan facilities to agriculture. You need to help the entrepreneurs. You need to help the paddy farmers and so on. So the bank, central bank has the way of checking, and the central bank issues the directions. So that is therefore an important role of a central bank. At the same time, control of many other banking activities and financial institutions, financial companies also. Now in Sri Lanka, there's a huge problem with the finance companies since when I was at the Bank of Silo in mid-1980s, there was a colossal large number of finance companies. So we did a research to understand why is it. We understood the lack of good controlling system in the central bank those days. And still the same thing we see again and again in our banking side in the central bank, unfortunately. So another role in the control of banking system is intervention in the money market, demand and supply of money. So central bank has a number of instruments to control the money system in the bank, like rate of interest is one. So central bank has the chance to increase the rate or decrease the rate depending on the nature of the demand for money. And supply of money is also controlled likewise. So shall you go to that? Lend of last resort. What is this? This is a technical term. Banks also need money. For example, Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, Commercial Bank, Hatton National Bank, and so there are a number of commercial banks. They each need money. So how do they get money when they need money? They can either increase rate of deposits, then they will get money from the people or from the companies, but that is not sufficient sometimes for them to lend to certain companies. So suppose LAF Gas is demanding 500 million rupees today overdraft facility, but the bank has no money, that kind of a big money. So it will go to another bank, and then they will negotiate to get that money. So therefore, if the banking system itself is unable to help a fellow bank, so the central bank is the last point of getting that money. So therefore we say it is the lender of last resort. So this is practice. This is a system practice everywhere, but always commercial banks usually have an agreement between themselves. So for example, Bank of Ceylon, if they need money, they may have agreed with People's Bank to get that money. People's Bank need money, then they will get from Bank of Ceylon. Likewise, there could be interbank agreement. Or else, other bank, Hatton National Bank or Habib Bank or so Commercial Bank Limited, they may not have that kind of agreements, but they will ask for number of banks. We need this much of money. How much is your interest rate? And so that type of a small market is called as interbank money market. Interbank money market. I have not written that word, interbank money market. So anyway, shall you go to the other one? So now you see lot of activities. Another important activity is research, economic research. If you look at the publications of the central bank, there are staff publications. There are a number of research papers done monthly, yearly as well. But I do not know whether people read or whether they are circulated free. And so economic research is an important one. And the central bank has the legal right to ask business firms and business firms to supply their economic data, their production data, sales data, employment data, and so on. So central bank collects that information, is a regulated activity. And so then central bank is in a position to tell about the growth trends in the economy and the direction of the economy and so on. Employment data, for example. This is in addition to the census and statistics department of the government. It's a different department called census and statistics department. And one of the directors who work there is living in London. I will contact him for some work for us. Okay, Professor, we go to the next. So money market and capital market, there are two concepts to learn when we talk about the financial economy. Money market, it all banking activity in the short term money market. Money market, that is we individuals, we need money, business firms need money for a short period, say 1 week, 2 weeks, and so on. And so, therefore, is interest rate management, treasury bill market, buying and selling of treasury bills. Treasury bill is a document. So when the government needs money, they have two ways of getting money. One, treasury bills for short-term financing. The other one is bonds, the central bank bonds for long-term borrowing, say 1 year and beyond. So treasury bills are sold by the central bank. At the same time, suppose you and me, we have purchased 100,000 of treasury bills and we need money. So we can discount that treasury bill in the banks and then we can get money. So there is a buying as well as selling of treasury bills. So some people actually earn money. This is their business, this is their job, treasury bill buying and selling. And so this is very important activity. Interest rate management means is also very important activity in the money market. Interest rate, central bank also has a role to play it because central bank does not want to see interest rate fluctuates heavily. If interest rate fluctuates heavily, that affects all the economic activities. I borrow at 10%, it goes to 20% in 1 month time. How can I repay? I will have to repay 20%. It is not good for economic activities. So therefore, central bank has to intervene in many ways, and it is to be done. It is done. So shall we move to the other points in this? Capital market is very, very important one in Sri Lanka. Capital market, there is a existing capital market that's called long-term capital. Long-term capital means more than 3 years. And to start a manufacturing company, we need capital. We need two type of capital, long-term capital and short-term capital, or people say working capital or liquid capital. So long-term capital existing 3 years, 4 years, we need to start the building, buy factory machines and vehicles and long-term purposes. And so therefore, there are a number of institutions in the country. They are called long-term credit institutions. I have here listed National Development Bank is one of them, and the DFCC, I think it's Development Financial Corporation of Ceylon. It's called DFCC. And there are a number of other. State Mortgage Bank also can be considered as a long-term capital institution. So another one is LOLC. I cannot remember the full name of that. Lanka Orex Leasing Company, I think, yes. It's a private sector institution with some kind of a cooperation with the Japanese company. So these are long-term capital sources. This is a very important aspect in an economy. If there are no long-term capital, sources like this, how do we get money? We have to depend on the commercial banks. Commercial banks are mainly in the money market. Do not forget that, please. Their job is in the money market. Commercial banks also give loan facilities, long-term loan facilities. Anyway, uh, for example, Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank give long-term loan facilities to start manufacturing plants, agricultural institutions, and other institutions of long-term um, viable projects. So, for example, when I was at the bank, we used to go and see whether such loan facilities given, long-term investments are working well. One of them was Hingurana and Palavat sugar factory. We had given over 100 million at that time to maintain the factory, buy machinery and so on. The recovery period will be 10 years to 20 years and so. At the same time, for the companies which get that long-term capital, they also will have a recovery period 10 years, 15 years and so. So commercial banks also give loan facilities, long-term, but there are predominantly, there are institutions. They are called long-term credit institutions. NDB, DFCC, LO, LC, and in the recent years, I did not see any new banks coming up. The other one, the stock market or share market. That's the very easy way of getting money in developed countries. And in Sri Lanka also there is a share market more than 100 years old, started in 19th century, and with the British people who wanted to get money from the people through the stock market. So they wanted money for the development of the plantation industry, tea, rubber, coconut, mainly tea first. So they created the stock market model as the London Stock Exchange. So stock market is a key source of money, but to function a good stock market, there must be a good environment, administration, as well as the recognition by the general public and the confidence in the stock market. So if there are violations of, say, selling of shares, buy and sell shares with some informal information about the activities in the market, so that means inside the information is channel to known people in the stock market. So then people will lose confidence. So that kind of confidence lost in Sri Lanka a number of years ago, and still there is some kind of suspicion about the real type of work in the stock market. So, but in compared with that, London stock market, New York stock market, Japan, Australia, and Canada, and so stock markets are regulated very highly. There is no any insider activities as far as we know. Okay, shall we go to the other points, please? And so money, very important factor for everybody. So, but we don't know about the functions of money yet. But we have a number of functions to discuss. First of all, these are historically very important functions identified across all the countries. First function is a unit of measuring value of products and services. So we always say when we go to the market, the trader will say this is the price. Price is the value of the product. When the product is out from the production company, say sugar, bag of sugar from the Palavat sugar company, they price, keeping a margin for their production. After seeing all the cost of production, then add the profit margin. And so when it is coming to the market, different, because intermediaries like wholesale and retail distributors at their profit margin. So finally we pay the price. So therefore it is the value of the product we pay. So to measure that value, money is used. So before the invention of money, in the world over, every country was just changing product to product. That's called barter system. Now, even in Sri Lanka, still we say when we are working in a paddy field, our villagers come and help. That is called Atmaru Krame, change hands. So if I want to get some labor, some hands, I ask, can you, Piyadasa, can you come and help my paddy field? Then I will get that help. When he is going to work in the paddy field, his own paddy field, I will go and help. So that's called Attammaru Krame. So that is barter system. Even that is labor market also has this kind of barter system. And products, among the products, people give kind of value for a product. Say one coconut nut is equal to two bread nuts or jack and so on. So barter system. It's very difficult to keep that as a resource. So therefore, we usually do not use barter system. So a medium of exchange of the products and services. So always money is considered as the medium of exchange, a medium of accumulating assets, many forms such as fixed deposit scheme. During the barter system, it is difficult to accumulate assets. So we can keep number of coconuts at in our store, but we cannot keep number of say jack or fruits or papaya. How many days we can keep? We cannot keep more than 2-3 days. So there is a lifetime for everything, but money has no lifetime. So we can keep money as assets. So people keep as fixed deposit schemes or medium deposit schemes. So money plays that role. Another role is a medium of deferred payments, post-dated checks or promissory notes. These are accepted, and all the business firms, when they are buying on the delivery van, they give dated checks. 1 month dated check on reliable company. At the same time, they have to keep a bank guarantee. Bank guarantee means a commercial bank will issue a letter to the supplier that that you are going to sell your products on a post-dated check. Do not worry. If the company or the man does not pay, our bank will pay you the money. So now bank has kind of that facility is called bank guarantee. Now you see how the banking system involves in the market, right? If there is a delay of repaying that money, so the bank system will intervene with the particular terms and conditions agreed when they are writing the bank guarantee letters. So therefore, banks play a huge role in the economy. That is why I say in the financial economy, banking plays a huge role to make the work smooth, the activities smooth, right? So shall we go to the other points, please? So, and at the same time, it's very important to understand. So money is everywhere. The money should have certain qualities such as acceptability. As I said earlier, it's called legal tender. Coins and notes issued by a central bank is acceptable by the general public. Now, in the recent years, you all know Bitcoin. It was circulated. I did not know about that much. I didn't want to spend time for that. It was not accepted. Now it is down. The owner of the Bitcoin or the inventor also collapsed recently. His business collapsed. So they are not legal thing. It's not acceptable. Stability in terms of the price movements and the money always we need to see that rupee value is maintained at a certain acceptable rate of fluctuation. It's called mild inflation. Mild inflation is very important for the business enterprises because when there is some kind of price increase a little bit, people think, oh, this is the time to invest, we can get a return, and we can, so therefore, invest money in this business. So mild inflation is important. But jump in the prices tremendously. 1 week, this 65 rupees, next week 75, then in third week 95. We have a question about the value of money. So that is called galloping inflation. Galloping means the horse is running, galloping. And so that is not good at all for the industry, for the companies, for the general public. Then we lose our confidence in the money system. So that is why I said this is a serious role of the central bank to control or maintain economic stability. And so there are a number of ways of doing it. Controlling of the supply of money and demand of money by various ways. And shall we go to the next slide, please? So this is the last slide, I think. So interest rate, we always say interest rate is not easy for us to get a loan facility, high interest rate. Business people, very unfortunately, I'm very sad to see one of the business enterprise in organization in Sri Lanka, lady speaks very nicely about this matter, and interest rate is very high. When interest rate is very high, how can we borrow money to either develop a house or construct a house or develop a company or expand the business in the company or buy machinery and all? So interest rate is a very important factor. So interest rate is decided by the market forces, unfortunately. Market forces mean demand for money, demand for investment money, as well as for consuming products. By consumer items, we need loan facilities. So the demand comes from many forces, from the general public, from the investors, from the government sources, because the government also wants to money by so many things, right? So whenever quantity demanded and quantity supplied, it met at a certain point, at a bargain, the rate is decided. So that is what is shown here in this graphical presentation. I was drawing this one on the x-axis, vertical axis is the rate of interest. The horizontal axis is the quantity, quantity Q. R is for the rate of interest. Now you will see there are two curves. One is S. S is going toward the right section, and the one is going down from the top here to this side. So is the demand. When rate of interest is high, always what is the trend of the market or the consumers and the industry? Demand less. Rate of interest is high, demand is less. That's the, you see the red arrow. Red arrow is going up, that means interest is going up. Then demand is going down. At the same time, when the other green arrow is going down in the rate of interest, that means rate of interest is going down. when that happens, demand for money is going up. And so, therefore, there is an inward relationship of demand and the rate of interest. So when the two things meet at a certain point here, R and Q, that is called the rate of interest decided according to the market forces. That is called equilibrium rate. So anyway, this is what happens in a highly developed money market. But if there are any imperfections, or if there are involvements of the government and kind of involvement we do not like, political interventions and all these things do not happen. This is just on the theory to understand. Anyway, now in this whole discussion, we have discussed the financial economy side. Maybe there are many more things to discuss, but I think this is enough. Can we go to the next slide, please? So now it is the end of the session. I doubt whether you have got adequate understanding about my explanation. I tried my level best. I did not put any data because there is a difficulty of relying the data of the central bank, honestly speaking. For so many years now, economics in developed countries, when I was doing my PhD, Professor Chula, my supervisor, Professor Sevik, told me, Walter, I don't want your data. I'm very sorry to say, data is highly cooked data. They are cooking data. You see, in the last few years, central bank governance not acceptable. Only Mr. Vanna Sena Rasaputnam, when I was doing my advanced level economics, he was a fantastic central bank governor. Okay,
Thank you. Yeah, Walter, you did a fantastic job today. And I think at least, I don't know, others would have done as well. I understood that, how important it is for the central bank to be efficient and, say, well directed. I mean, it's almost
efficient,
like the central
directed,
government.
independent. Professor Chula, independent.
Independent,
Must
yeah.
be
And almost like central government. So,
yes, yes.
so it's such an important thing, and not anybody understand it properly. And today you did a fantastic summary, so we could at least understand what the core thing is. But it's so important. Udita, you have raised the hand, Udita. Yeah, we can't hear you, Udita.
Sorry, I missed part of the presentation. I don't know whether you touched on those, but anyway, I just want to ask, under executive presidency, does the president have control over who is in the central bank board?
There should not be any control, any interference, but the appointment of the central bank governor is the role of the government. It has to be by an independent body as in the UK. But in Sri Lanka, that has not been done. As you know, during the previous President Mahinda Rajapaksa's government time and the Ranil government time, they brought somebody from Singapore, and that was not considered as by the majority of the people in the country or by the parliament also. So therefore, that's all political appointments, and even the previous government.
Yeah. So you are saying that at the end of the day, the executive president or the government can appoint a political appointee to the central bank, which means that it may not be independent as you would want it to be.
The person has to be knowledgeable man in the economic activities, in the control of the money, supply of money and money market, capital markets and so on. All. because he also has to be the chair of the monetary board to take the key decisions of the central bank in relation to the supply of money, demand of money, interest rate decisions, and so on. So
Yeah.
that has to be a person, well capable person. But if that person is appointed by the government, by the executive, no problem. Now, for example, earlier, who is that doctor? I cannot remember. Um, Before Cabral, there was a very good central bank governor. Now he's a consultant to
Kumaraswamy.
the,
Yeah.
yeah,
Kumaraswamy.
that's right, Dr. Kumarasamy. He has worked in the in the Commonwealth Secretariat as an economic consultant, and he has studied economics and practiced economics. So he's a well qualified. It's an independent man, and he has played this independence role also. That is
Yeah.
why he has been recognized by the world as a powerful central bank.
Yeah. So the role of the central bank is to advise on the government on various economic projects and various things. So
Yeah,
I just want to know, in that situation, what scrutiny did central bank have on white elephant projects like Mattala Airport? That's one.
yeah,
And bidding for the Commonwealth Games, which would have cost 4.5 billion US dollars,
yeah,
right? And what influence, or because I can't understand even a child taking some of those decisions,
yeah,
and I'm just wondering how, or if the central bank or any other government machinery had any influence in these stupid projects, stupid things,
yeah.
and how did they escape the scrutiny and the refusal of financial authorities uh, to say that they are not viable things.
Uh, so Udita, Professor Udita, they are
So
obvious political decisions. If you look at the video of Ajit Niwat Kabral on his back, or he's on the back of Nama Rajapaksa in that video, right? They are going like elephants, and on the occasion was in Australia at the time of they are going to talk about the Commonwealth Games. So they were dancing like that. So how can a central bank dance on the back of a politician? Now you see what is the independence there. And
so
that is
so
a,
these are some of the key factors for ruining Sri Lankan economy,
of
isn't it?
course, yes, yes,
Don't you think so? I mean, similarly, cancellation of this light railway project. Now,
yeah,
I mean, everybody know that it is a need for Sri Lanka, and it
yeah,
was given at 0.1% interest rate by Japanese government.
yeah,
And now, again, I would have thought, you can't suddenly take those decisions. To take that sort of decision, you had to have maybe months or years of previous study to evaluate everything and
that's
come to
right,
the
yes.
decision. And once the decision is taken, for someone to suddenly come and cancel it is beyond stupidness.
Beyond
And
understanding also, yes.
again, I don't know what influence these financial authorities, including central bank, who should be
Yeah.
advising government, were they sleeping, or were they powerless? They didn't oppose these stupidities, or what happened?
Do you see all of this happen with the political interference? Central bank governor was a man in the hands of the political system that time. So there was no any independence. He was himself a politician, And so all of these were motivated with political interests rather than the economic interests or the country economic interests, right? So they
So,
are,
I mean, in that sense, I mean, from a national interest point of view, looking at what happened, the constitution of Sri Lanka should say that central bank should be totally independent, whether it's executive president or not,
yeah,
because we have seen the calamities
yeah,
of political appointees
yeah, yeah,
who the politicians will look at the next election.
yeah,
They will not look at what happens to the country for the next
yeah,
25
yeah,
years. So these are the calamities. And if you say that we all know that these sort of decisions have led to the downfall of the economy, and
yes,
having having seen that, I feel that the constitution of the government should say that the central bank, as well as judiciary and various other things, should be totally independent for
yeah,
benefit of not only Sri Lanka, for any country in the world.
yeah. So nothing has been independent, no judiciary system had been violated, and banks have been violated their mandate by being appointed by politicians. Politicians themselves become chairman, authorities of management, decision taking, and so on. So how can we expect economic interests and national interests? See the
I,
Sri Lankan embassies everywhere.
yeah.
The embassy has to meet the national interests. But
I mean,
there's,
if I remember right, under the Mahinda Rajapaksa presidency, he appointed his astrologer
oh,
uh,
yes, yes,
to
yes.
the central bank
Director.
director. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
these are not decisions by uh,
Economic
a
principles.
decision by educated person. I mean, even
Yeah,
a fool will not take such a decision, and
yeah, yeah.
we have seen that, and sadly no one or some people would have protested, but I didn't see the whole of banking sector or financial sector protesting overwhelmingly against these sort of stupidities.
Yes, yes. These are well known to everybody. When there is a military oligarchy in the country, yeah, so it is happening. Though those things has happened in Chile and many other countries in South America and in Romania and so many other countries. Politicians must do the politics job. Institutions must be handled by professionals. That is our argument always.
True,
So
Walter.
basically,
That is why I'll just summarize some of the things that we've been doing for last few months.
yeah,
One is to just, tell people that the Constitution is actually approved by politicians for the politicians,
yeah,
and so-called two-thirds majority is all defunct in a way because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
made up. So we have totally lost the value of the Constitution controlling the country's governance
yeah,
because of that reason, and central bank is got politicized as a result
yeah,
of it. So this is why we are trying to get a people's referendum so that the central bank can be independent again.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I
the
hope there will be some
strategy
kind
anyway.
of mm,
So these are difficult things, but anyway, we have to find solutions.
yeah,
Thank you so much for enlightening
no
us
problem,
today
no
about the
problem.
central bank, and I hope you'll be able to contribute a bit more in the future. The About the central bank, I mean, if you can write down what are the features that central bank should have independently, and also how kind of like a blueprint or something saying, this is the way it should be, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because that kind of document will help someone to pinpoint these are the things that is important for the central bank to function independently and
Yeah.
and efficiently as well. Say like, how do you elect the governor kind of process? Those things has to be there. How do we elect the monetary body, and what are the default positions there, and so on. So there's a lot to kind of think and develop. If you have a bit of time, maybe write a draft outline or something, and then we can think about it.
Yeah, I will try. We just started our semester now.
Yeah.
So the semester will go till April. And so in the semester, during the semester work, we have started a MBA also this January. And so lot of writing, lot of course manuals and so on. So I will allocate anyway. I will allocate a day to
Yeah.
think and research about the Central Bank of England. Usually
Yeah,
we take it as an
because you got very good knowledge in relation to how the other central banks function. So you
yeah,
can see all the good qualities, what
yeah,
needs to be there in a
yeah,
central bank governance, and that's will be crucially important. At the moment, we really are blind in that sense. I mean, today I learned a lot. I'm sure the others would have as well, because
yeah,
we've been stuck in our own professions.
yeah. And if we do a small write-up and develop it, we may be able to publish it also.
Yeah, yeah. That's the idea.
At least in a star, 2-star journal. That's enough.
Yeah. Good. So if you can think about that, we'll see how else we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And next week I mentioned about this, and then we want to take up nuclear power plants for Sri Lanka, pros and cons. And if there is anybody listening, anybody who can contribute, who can talk about the pluses and minuses and so on. So we are having an open forum next week. I think it's a very
I will ask from one of my vice principals is a former professor in Brunel University, a communication professor in Iran.
right.
He has a number of patents as well. He may have some ideas. He may have some contest. We'll see anyway. But better to have somebody Sri Lankan man.
So there'll be several people, I hope, volunteer will talk, but we
Yeah.
need someone who actually can guide a little bit as well, who has been in the business or been in the nuclear power plant business.
Yeah. I will try my level best and inform in about 2 weeks' time.
Okay, but next week we want to put up a forum. I mean,
Next week, I will try this Monday.
just say just a little bit of something like 10 minutes outline will do, because we
Yeah.
can take up a major discussion later on, but we need to
Yeah.
highlight it. At least for
Yesterday,
people.
you talked to Dr. SK, is it?
Yeah. He will talk as well. Thank you.
SK's dad was the secretary of Sri Lanka Freedom Party during Mrs. Bandaranaike's time.
He is well informed. He told me he's contributed to the workshop on economics.
Yeah.
So that's
All right.
very
Political
good.
economy. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Today.
No problem.
Anything else? We can stop here today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye then. Yeah.